came into post here at the Youth Offending Service 4 years ago, reoffending rates were quite high, and in particular first-time entrants to the criminal justice system, so people who come in for the first time, commit their first crime. We had particularly high numbers there, so high numbers of young people were coming into the criminal justice system, and when they were in the criminal justice system they were reoffending as well.
When we're working with some of the issues in North East Lincolnshire, as many areas do, when we're dealing with whole system issues such as youth crime or child poverty, it's really simple that these issues need a whole system approach. They need a whole system strategy, and things need to connect.
I think we're all going in the same direction, but it certainly wasn't all that joined up. So certainly when you look at, right, there's some problems, there's some issues that we need to look at in relation to youth crime, then, you know, to get the Youth Crime Board set up was really useful, because for one reason you've got all the strategic leads there round a table looking at the direction that we can all go in together and how we can actually use all our resources together, which actually get optimum results, really. But whilst that's really important to have that upper level, we've also got individual cops that are looking at ways to solve problems on their neighbourhoods that they're responsible for. So we certainly had something start up in Immingham with a neighbourhood cop who got together with some of the other people, like youth workers, sports coaches and things in a particular area, to say, right, we've got a problem in this particular area that all these young people have got nowhere to go, nothing to do, so what can we do?
2007, which is exactly 5 years ago, I was an MBO, a neighbourhood beat officer in Immingham, responsible for the area, looking at reductions in ASB, reductions in criminal damage, low-level violence. And it was a different scene then. Young people were congregating, young people were in groups, late at night in areas, the Civic Centre in Immingham, parks and open spaces. And I don't think there was the same amount of activities for them to do in the evenings, which created boredom, which created mischief. I was given the phone number of a colleague in Sports and Arts Development, Mark Cullen, by a local councillor, and she basically said, look, you need to speak to this guy, you too can do some good things in Immingham. And the pilot for our work, or my work to date, started in Immingham in 2007 and has just progressed.
I think there's always been some fantastic services in North East Lincolnshire that have tried to tackle issues in different individual projects. But what we've managed to do in more recent years is take a multi-agency approach in terms of joining up our delivery, joining up our planning and strategically coordinating what we do, and we've had much bigger impact because of that.
It was chaos. It was literally chaos. Just police, you always see the police everywhere. Everything else, and yeah, it was pretty bad. It's windows getting smashed, people getting arrested, people in trouble. Well, the East Marsh basically wasn't a good place to live in because it was just on Take a Break. It was in Take a Break. The worst place in Great Britain or something, it said. Yeah, ever since the youth service and everything else have been involved, it's just been pretty damn good. We've seen a lot of change anyway.
So it feels like, to me, when I first came in post, that most of the crime comes from or is generated by the backgrounds that people live in and that have other associations with them, as opposed to having particular gangs or particular crimes going on. It seems that they're related to their housing, to their education, to their schooling, to the history of employment, etc., and a range of other things like mental health and substance misuse.
When we're working with young people who are presenting a range of different issues that they're experiencing, or a range of different difficulties, it's absolutely essential that we have a holistic approach to resolving and supporting those issues. The restorative team in North East Lincolnshire have been really successful over the last couple of years. They're based within the Young People Support Service and are commissioned via the Youth Offending Service, so we have really close working relationships between those agencies. Now, in terms of the work that they do, they're able to offer really key signposting and brokerage and support to young people, but also the signposting and brokerage to other specialist agencies and support that whatever the young person's needs are really, because no young person is the same as another. That team's led by Sarah Bell, and Sarah, along with the team, have achieved some really significant successes with young people in the borough over the last couple of years.
We look at the young person holistically, so where young people are coming in for minor offences, they might have other issues, so we help sort the other issues out, whether it be counselling, educational issues. We help repair that as well, to prevent the young person coming back. If the young person's still got the problems, they're going to keep coming back into the system. It's going to be like a revolving door. But if there's parenting needed, we'll get in touch with parenting advisors and get them into the properties. The police are a big part because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what we do or what arguments we have with the police it's their sergeants, it's them who make the decision whether that young person should be charged. If they weren't on board with this scheme, all these young people would be charged. Our success rate is approximately 98%. That's from what we've known, who's come back through the system. So we've got access to Youth Offending's database, so we know if the young people are coming back.
The first time I went to the Restorative Justice, it was in the youth centre in Immingham, and I met Pam. I think she was about 10 minutes late. Me and my mum were sat there, and like she just like sat me and my mum down and like told us what she was going to be doing with us and everything, like saying that we was going to do a couple of things in a booklet and then talk about some things. So my mum was like, yeah, thank you, and then mum went off. And then me and Pam went into a room by ourselves, and she was just asking me about my family and like what they're like and how they make me feel and stuff like that. A couple of months ago, after I'd seen Pam, I was walking around town and I saw like this top that I really, really liked, and I was thinking about, I was like, I've got enough money. I checked my purse, I was like £3 short. So I was like, do I, don't I? Then I actually put it in my bag, and then like 10 minutes later, I went back into the shop and put it back on the coat hanger. That's how bad I felt. Because I was thinking about Pam, and then my mum, and then like the people at the shop again, and it made me feel like I was going to get caught and all nervous.
Since 2005, we've progressively worked closer and closer and closer as colleagues from across all partner agencies, to the point now where we've got multi-agency partnership departments. We've got council workers working with police officers, working with voluntary community sector organisations.
Yeah, the partnership with the Sport Link was a request from the football. The police wanted to keep an eye on the kids when there was reported causing the trouble, which was predominantly on a Friday night. So the sports partnership was struck up for venues to hold, first of all, football academies and then dance troupes as well. And they've been very, very successful from there. Matt Cullum is the head of sports development, so he was the person who supplied all the coaches. Paul Caswell had the drive for the idea, and we had the volunteers who were fully trained, and that's how the partnership struck for us. On a Friday night, the football session that's run on behalf of Sportlink branches into two age groups. So we have the under-12s and the over-12s, and that leads to two football teams joining up with a Fair Play League, which is held every 4 to 6 weeks. Scott Downey runs one team and Ryan Smith runs the other team. Scott Downey was a young kid who came and joined us at the age of 8. He played football throughout the teams which I ran up to the age of 15. I stopped at 15, and Scott then got a sports apprenticeship with the council, which led to him to being on the Fair Play League on a Saturday night. But he was working there. Eventually his apprenticeship came to the end, and we housed him here for just over a year as an extra to his sports apprenticeship.
I started off at a local community centre as a 16-year-old boy, going down and actually playing in the football tournaments at the end of every month. and we heard about it through newsletters and posters. So I just thought, me and a few mates went down and thought, we'll carry on going. And obviously, as we carried on going, I got more and more interested in it, and then I got offered the apprenticeship through it. It made me more confident within myself to actually go out there and obviously experience other coaching aspects of life, going out there and delivering sessions on my own. Obviously, with the team that I've got here, I'm currently doing that now as well. I've got my own team away from this as well as an under-7s football team, so it's built me in confidence more and more as I've carried on doing it.
Well, when we very first started coordinating a lot of our delivery, we had lots of regular weekly activities, lots of football academies, lots of dance activities, arts activities, and we found that the young people were coming week in, week out, and they enjoyed it, but there was no kind of progression for them. There was no kind of incentive to keep coming. So we decided to do a tournament, a big one-off competition, as an incentive really to keep the young people wanting to come. It started off as a large football tournament actually, and we timed it on the the peak time for youth-related antisocial behaviour. It was a Saturday night, on the key Saturday within a month, and it went so successfully. We had 20-odd football teams from all of our academies turn up that we'd looked at it and said, actually, we need to do this more regularly. So we turned that into a more regular event, turned it into a league, so at least once a quarter, and we've done it monthly at times. We have the football tournament taking place, bringing together all of our academies. We also started to integrate the dance not long after that, so we had lots of young boys and girls taking part in our dance activities. So at the same time as the football now, we have a big dance-off competition, and it's growing and growing. We're also considering now how we start to have bring together all of our rock schools, and we'll have a big musical event alongside it at the same time on the night. So it's a real activity hub on the night, lots of young people competing, and I think working towards those competitions really keeps them incentivised to come on a weekly basis to all the regular activities.
This is Connor, this is Anton, and I'm Ash, and he's been doing it about 7 months. I've been doing it like 2 years I think now, but I didn't really get into dancing until like 6 months ago, something like that, and it's just really good. It gets you out, it gets you doing stuff, and it's just something I like doing. It's definitely made a difference to the community. It brings people together, if you know what I mean. It kind of brings a lot of people together.
Like this, we're all like one big massive family.
We're like one big family.
I didn't expect this much people here, to be honest. I didn't think it was such a big show or so well organized, but I'm impressed. I think especially they have the dance classes on a Friday night. It keeps the kids off the streets and it gives them something to do.
The improvements that we've made over the last 4 years are many. I think the range of activities that we're able to provide that are intelligence-led and targeted, I think that is key. I think we look at the areas that are in need and that we provide.
I think one of the most important aspects of our targeted work is information that comes from other partners within our group. As an example, the police may flag up an area of the town which has become a hotspot. It may just be simmering, maybe not too much going on, but maybe some youths need a little bit of help and guidance and some diversionary activities. They'll come to us with an issue they think is either happening or is going to happen. We'll sit down very quickly. We'll try and find a central venue to those young people and those issues. We will book that venue. We will promote the activity that's going to be held there, whether it's street dance or whether it's a football or whether it's a multi-skill activity, and we'll get that information out to the young people and invite them to come and attend. And I think one of the key aspects of this work is it's free for the young people to attend.
Through meeting with Steve Kay, he suggested getting in touch with Paul. Paul and I met up, and actually both of us are activists, so we hit it off quite quickly, discussing different ideas, different possibilities that could be implemented in the local area to make a real difference. And what we talked about was, well, if we could have some mobile provision where a mobile unit came into a certain area, in this case a mobile football cage, set up in about 20 minutes, and we have a mixture of professional youth workers, volunteers, engaging with young people for a period of time, and then doing some excellent youth work, and then packing down at the end of those 20 minutes and everybody disperses. So we placed the cage next to or near to a church building, their community building, which they were able to open up the doors to the young people
Yeah, we've got really enhanced cooperation between the agencies, and significantly what we do is, which is pretty unique I think from across the whole country, is we've actually got police constables, PCS, police community support officers, and we've got youth workers actually that patrol together. So they'll be out in a vehicle, and that's sometimes the marked police vehicle, or in one of the youth services buses, and they actually go out and go and liaise and talk and engage with the young people. So if they're seeing young people out on the streets and, for example, they're drinking, the officers will have, seize the alcohol, but the youth workers will actually engage with them as the police officers do. That has several different impacts that can direct them to where there's some great activities that are going on locally for them. They can also give them some education about the harm of alcohol and drugs. And they can also really enhance the engagement opportunities. So when those young people see the police or see youth workers, things, they actually have a rapport.
Youth support in North East Lincolnshire is a multifaceted affair. We've got a range of different children and young people's professionals working within a youth support structure. So we have youth work and youth workers who work with in a range of different ways: open access youth work provision, targeted support. We've got some excellent drug and substance misuse provision. We have sexual health, information, advice and guidance, careers guidance. All of these are important ingredients in the whole picture that we're trying to create in terms of a partnership with young people. As a direct result of the systemic approach that we've taken to issues in North East Lincolnshire, and also the development of partnerships, what's emerged from that is that we've been able to more easily tackle and develop new approaches. For example, we are in the process of developing a significant response to child sexual exploitation. We're really excited by the developments that we've had in this area, and also the approach that we've taken.
Yeah, the child sexual exploitation patrols that we operate on a Saturday night have obviously got a different focus to the Friday night patrols. Saturday night tends to be family night in North East Lincolnshire, young people going out with their families, but obviously not all. And what we've done is we've actually looked at that patrol, dedicating it to finding young people in areas where they're vulnerable.
Tonight we are patrolling on child sexual exploitation patrol with Humberside Police and Youth Work team, just to ensure that young people are safe on the streets of North East Lincolnshire, and that we are identifying any areas or risk factors associated with child sexual exploitation. Just driving onto Orwell Street, which is an area in Grimsby associated with street workers. A partner agency colleague had been to a Chinese takeaway in the vicinity of Orwell Street, and he was approached by a male in a car who had offered him two 15-year-old girls. Why would you sit down here with your child at 10:10?
Just pull up next to it. Hi, sorry to bother you tonight. We're just doing some routine patrols around the front, that's all. All right, you're all right? Just that I noticed you've got a young child in the back, that's all. And obviously it's quite late at night, so just checking that everything was okay.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, we've got a great engagement process behind us. It's here for the community, young and old. We're here to engage, but we're also here to learn, and we're constantly evaluating what we're doing. The important thing is looking at data and making sure that we're in the right areas through crime, through antisocial behaviour. And we do have to make sure as well that what we're doing has value, making sure that it's got savings to the public purse. And I think in the last 5 years, looking at all of our crimes that young people have committed, we've saved nearly 11 million just in the cost of crime compared to what it was in 2007-8.
The area that we had to make improvements with was with the number of young people coming into the criminal justice system for the first time. In the last 4 years, that has dropped from 454 in 2006-07 to 103 this year. So the young people coming into the criminal justice system now are the ones that concern us, are the ones that we believe are have high risk. In relation to reducing reoffending rates have dropped significantly in the last 4 years of young people who are at the YOS, and again that's partly the work that the YOS does, but mostly because of the partnership working we do.
Communities, it's having a huge impact, and when we talk about communities we're actually talking about young people themselves. Young people actually feel that they're part of the community actually relate to them. From 4 or 5 years since we started, really we're working together and not just paying lip service to it, but actually really getting together on it. Our crime levels have reduced dramatically.
Whilst I would accept that we've made significant progress as a partnership, as a collective in North East Links, we've got year-on-year neat reductions in terms of the young people whose destination is not known to us. That's at an all-time low of 1.4%, which means that we're in regular contact and offering regular support with the vast majority of young people not in education, employment or training in the borough. We've got huge reductions in terms of youth crime and youth-related crime within the borough. We can evidence that we're supporting more young people than ever before against a reduced resource allocation to the public sector. Now, we've made significant impact. We're able to demonstrate impact in terms of those areas. Now, those areas are whole system issues, and it's not just about demonstrating that impact. We've made massive savings to the public purse as a direct result of the interventions that have taken place in the borough. And in addition to savings to the public purse, we've actually created a significant amount of public value, and that's one of the absolutely essential ingredients of any effective public service, to be able to demonstrate significant value for money services and public value to the communities in which we operate and which we serve, to be honest.
Yeah, my hopes for the future is that certainly in North East Lincolnshire we continue the way we are with a really good cohesive partnership, because I think anything other than that would have a real negative impact on the communities and on young people. My hopes and visions for the future is that this not only continues but expands and improves. We're always looking at ways that we can improve, but importantly it's about listening to the young people as well, and actually getting that feedback from the young people to make sure that we're doing it right, listening to our communities to make sure that we're doing it right, and change things as and when they need to be changed. We don't sit on our laurels and just think that everything's great, because there's always improvements that we can and do make.